Newton's physics, the eradication of smallpox, the theory of relativity, antibiotics, unlocking the secrets of DNA, the World Wide Web. These are just a random selection of the achievements of clever men. Yet for all that, in this year 2013, men have still not answered the eternal question, the great fascination and the great mystification which has been exercising minds scientific and literary and philosophical for hundreds of years. The great question. In the words of the French writer Alexandre Dumas, the great question which I have not been able to answer: what does a woman want? I am as bewildered as the next man before this great mystery of life, so don't expect me to give you any earth-shattering revelations. My intentions over the next few minutes are more modest. One, to outline the scale and seriousness of our bewilderment. To possibly add to that bewilderment by looking at two very different women from around Burns's time, two specimens from an interesting subgroup within womankind, namely Dunblane woman. And thirdly, to examine three largely forgotten Dunblane songs. One that Burns wrote while he was in Dunblane, one called The Flower of Dunblane that another man wrote, and which for long enough set the standards that Dunblane women were expected to measure up to. And a third song called The Bob of Dunblane that Burns collected and rescued, and which went on after Burns's death to provide an earthier, racier version of Dunblane womanhood. Three songs then, and it is not my intention to sing any of them. But first, man's perplexity before the mystery that is woman. In their ignorance, most men think that it's a woman's dream to find the perfect man. Wrong. Every woman's dream is to eat anything without getting fat. Then, it might help if you remembered that the definition of a bride is, quote, a woman who has stopped searching for the ideal man. Personally, I find it hard to accept the view of marriage that it's when you join with that one special person you want to annoy for the rest of your life. Instead, think happy. Women, be happy. To be happy with a man, you must understand him a lot and love him a little. Men, to be happy with a woman, you must love her a lot and not try to understand her at all. Compared to the impenetrable enigma that is woman, men are an open book, as is plain from the following small ads in the Lonely Hearts column. I quote, bitter, disillusioned Dundonian, lately rejected by long-time fiancé, seeks decent, honest, reliable woman, if such a thing still exists, in this cruel world of hatchet-faced bitches. Here's one that's even more irresistible. Bad-tempered, foul-mouthed old bastard, living in a damp cottage in the arse end of Orkney, seeks attractive 21-year-old blonde with big chest. And there are those who claim that Scotsmen are not romantic. friend of mine who texted this week is an interesting mix of romantic and realist. Here's what he texted. Just booked a table for Valentine's Day for me and the wife. Bound to end in tears though. She's crap at snooker. Not to put too fine a point on it, men have two emotions, hungry and horny. Women, if you see a gleam in his eyes, make him a sandwich. Or, as one wife succinctly put it, all you have to do is keep their stomach full and their testicles empty. If only women were that easy to understand. One of the more recent learned inquiries into womankind was conducted by the Royal Incorporation of Chemical Engineers. I've got a copy of their findings. Woman, physical properties. Found in various grades, ranging from virgin material to common ore. Body surface normally covered with a film of powder and paint. Boils at absolutely nothing. Freezes for no apparent reason. Woman chemical properties. Reacts well to gold, platinum and all precious stones. Explodes spontaneously without reason or warning. The most powerful money-reducing agent known to man. Women, common uses. Highly ornamental, especially in sports cars. Can greatly aid relaxation. Can be a very effective cleaning agent. And finally, woman hazards. Turns green when placed alongside a superior specimen. Possession of more than one is possible, but specimens must never make eye contact. One area the chemical engineers report did not touch on, an area that men can never get their heads around, is women's particular conception of time, and birthdays in particular. Woman has an extraordinary capacity for telescoping time. I suppose it's summed up in the following sentence. The best 10 years of a woman's life are those between 39 and 59. And, in the definition of a diplomat, a man who remembers a lady's birthday but forgets her age. And if I may remind you, gentlemen, the most effective way to remember your wife's birthday is to forget it once. And now I'd like to move on to intercourse. Intercourse, subsection A. Intercourse in the sense of the dialogue between woman and man, between wife and husband. A subject. As Sigmund Freud once said, I had some words with my wife, and she had some paragraphs with me. In the interests of harmonious verbal intercourse, I offer you my 5-point dialogue survival guide. 1. Men, 2 secrets to keep your marriage brimming. Whenever you're wrong, admit it. Whenever you're right, shut up. 2. When a woman says, "What?" it's not because she didn't hear you. She's giving you a chance to change what you just said. 3. The speed with which a woman says, "Nothing," in answer to the question, "What's wrong?" is inversely proportional to the severity of the shitstorm that's coming. Women, a good wife always forgives her husband when she's wrong. You are not a true couple until you understand every word the other person hasn't said. Intercourse, subsection B. Finally, we get to sex. And here I'm going to limit myself to a single anecdote. It's about an elderly couple, both widowed. They'd been going out with one another for a long time. Urged on by their friends, they decided it was finally time to get married. Before the wedding, they went out to dinner and had a long conversation about how their marriage might work. They discussed finances, living arrangements, and so on. Finally, the old gentleman decided it was time to broach the subject of their physical relationship. "How do you feel about sex?" he asked tentatively. "I would like it infrequently," she replied. The old gentleman sat quietly for a moment, adjusted his glasses, leaned towards her and whispered, "Is that one word or two?" It's a matter of pride and pleasure to welcome not one, not two, but 3 government ministers to the Victoria Hall this evening. Some 2¼ centuries ago, Dunblane received another distinguished visitor. In late August 1787, Robert Burns, fresh from the triumph of his Kilmarnock edition, spent a night here at the start of his sightseeing and song-collecting tour of the Highlands with his friend William Nichol. As far as can be judged from old maps of Dunblane before the railways, Burns's 2-horse coach would have passed very close to where we're presently sitting, before crossing the Allen Water by the present bridge to the Stirling Arms, where they put up for the night. Some 40 years before Burns's visit, the most interesting representative of Dunblane womanhood, indeed, one of the very few Dunblane women we know anything about in the 18th century, emerged briefly onto the front page of history. For reasons that will become clear, her name has not come down to us. She's just known as the Maid of Balhadie. Early in February 1746, when Dunblane was occupied by the Culloden-bound Hanoverian army, the Maid of Balhadie made a single-handed attempt on the life of the Duke of Cumberland, son of King George II, Commander-in-Chief, and soon to earn a place of choice for himself in Scottish history as the Butcher. The deed took place at the Cross of Dunblane, across the street from the Leighton Library. The Jacobite Laird of Strathallan used to have a 2-storied house there, and it was from an upper window that the maid aimed a pot of boiling water, some say it was boiling oil, at the passing Duke. The Duke, at 24 stones, did not present a difficult target. But it's often been observed, be it at the wheel of a car, or in the higher order skills of throwing a ball, or catching a ball, that hand-eye coordination in women sometimes leaves something to be desired. Although it might have been easier to do it the other way round, she missed the Duke and scalded the horse. He got dumped on his backside, then got up to leave his awful mark at Culloden and on the Highlands. The maid, at least, was not taken. She lowered herself into the Minnie Burn and followed its underground cundy to where it comes out in the Almond Water at the Middle Road. To their eternal credit, not a single person in Dunblane ever gave her away. While recognising that the maid was the most cack-handed assassin in Scottish history, we can still admire her pluck and feistiness. Burns, with his Jacobite sympathies, would certainly have admired her. Did he seek her out in 1787? Always on the lookout for examples of Scotland's musical heritage, we know from his own words that in Dunblane he picked up a song fragment and duly arranged and expanded it into something more. The chorus, he later wrote, I picked up from an old woman in Dunblane. The rest of the song is mine. Oh, for him back again, oh, for him back again. I would gie all Knockcaspy's land for Highland Harry back again. On to this chorus, collected in Dunblane, Burns was inspired to write, very probably here in Dunblane, a Jacobite song called Harry Was a Gallant Gay. Ma Harry was a gallant gay, fu stately straight he on the plain, but now he's banished far awa. I'll never see him back again. When all the lane gae to their bed, I wander dowie up the glen. I set me down and greet my fill, and I wish him back again. Oh, where some villains hang it high, and ilka body had their ain, then I might see the joyful sicht, ma Hieland Harry back again. It's a tender and delicate poem of woman's loss and the despair of loss and loneliness and tears, but it's also a poem of a woman's repressed anger and sense of injustice, and the hope that if justice be done, then happiness will be restored. And I would